Hello everyone, Surfing Pikachu here, back with another Boomsday card review. This time we're going to do all the priest cards. First up, Red Ringer. 2 mana, 2/1, Mech, Death Rattle, draw a Death Rattle minion from your deck. So this card is like Loot Hoarder, because it draws a card, and it's a 2/1. So yeah, it'll probably see play because it's basically a Loot Hoarder, except it draws the Death Rattle minion. There are a couple upsides to this. Like you can draw specific minions compared to Loot Hoarder where you're just drawing cards. There's also like it won't in Fatigue you won't get further into Fatigue if this dies. So this might see play over Loot Hoarder in a couple decks even, just because of those couple upsides I mentioned. So yeah, they're a pretty good card. Next up, Cloning Device. 2 mana, discover a copy of a minion in your opponent's deck. So this is pretty bad. Like, Shadow Visions is a 2 mana discover, but it discovers something that helps your game plan, because you're discovering spells in your deck that you put in your deck to help your game plan. This discovers a minion in your opponent's deck that really isn't like, your deck isn't built around whatever you discover, and it probably won't help your game plan. So you gotta hope it's like just a decent tempo minion that you discover, or maybe you discover like Shutterwalk or something, but those are very fringe applications of this. This probably won't see play, especially since it's kind of expensive for the cost. Like for this effect, 1 mana would, I feel like even 1 mana would be fair, and that wouldn't be good enough to see play. So this is pretty bad. Next up, Topsy Turvy, 0 mana, swap a minion's attack and health. So this is just an insane card. First off, it's free. There's no cost to playing it except for using up the card. And swapping a minion's attack and health is pretty useful. Like, Crazed Alchemist even sees play in a lot of decks, and so does Void Ripper, but that's all minions. But this is even better than Crazed Alchemist because it's cheap, and it helps Inner Fire Priest because it's 0 mana, so it won't get destroyed by Skulking Geist, and just another copy of Inner Fire basically in that combo deck. So I think this will see play in a lot of priest decks. Next up, Omega Medic, 3 mana, 3/4, Battlecry. If you have 10 mana crystals, restore 10 health to your hero. So this is a really good card because first off, a 3 mana, 3/4 is great stats, and that Battlecry is just great upside. In early game, this is okay because you can just drop it as a 3 mana, 3/4 and it'll help contest board. In late game, this is pretty good because that's like a Reno-like effect, as in it restores a ton of health for cheap. So yeah, I think this will definitely see play in some sort of priest deck, even if it doesn't fit into one right now. Next up, 3 mana, extra arms. Give a minion +2/+2 and add more arms to your hand that gives +2/+2. So more arms is another spell that just gives +2/+2. It doesn't have any other effects like extra arms. So if you compare this to Blessing of Kings, which you shouldn't do because different classes, but still, if you compare it to Blessing of Kings, this is 6 mana over a 4 mana for like the same buff if you apply it on the same minion. But you can spread this out on multiple minions, which is sort of an upside. And also, it helps retain card advantage, I guess, but really that's not that important. So giving a minion +2/+2 for 3 mana is meh. Like, Unidentified Elixir sees very little play, mostly because it doesn't give enough stats, I think. So yeah, I think this won't really see play, but I might be wrong. Maybe some madman will create Zoo Priests like I tried to do before. Next up, Test Subject. 1 mana, 0/2, Death Rattle, return any spells you cast on this minion to your hand. So, like, it's a 0/2, so it dies really easily, so you're going to have to combo the buffs immediately when you play this, or else it just dies and you don't get any benefit. So, in Inner Fire Priest, this becomes an 8/8 if you use both Divine Spirits and an Inner Fire on this. So, you could, like, just create let's see, that would be a 6 mana 8/8 for free, basically, because you get all those spells back. So, I don't know. It might see play in Inner Fire Priest, but Inner Fire Priest really doesn't care that much about that tempo like that. Next up, Reckless Experimenter, 5 mana 4/6, Death Rattle. No, Death Rattle minions you play cost 3 less, but die at the end of your turn. So, this is really good actually, because you can combo this off with like minions that really don't care about their stats, but about the Death Rattle, like Loot Hoarder, or like the 2-mana 2/1 that's basically Loot Hoarder and Priest that I just showed. I forgot the name of, and Cube even. This card actually makes Cube viable in Priest decks, because like the biggest problem with the Priest decks using Cube is that they didn't have a way of activating it, and this just gives them a way of activating it. So this is pretty good. Next up, I would replicate 5 mana, choose a friendly minion, summon a 5/5 copy of it. So compare this to Faceless Manipulator. That's also 5 mana, and it just summons a copy of the minion with the same stats and all those buffs. But this summons a 5/5, so it could potentially be better if you Faceless Manipulator a smaller minion, but you usually don't do that. You Faceless Manipulator like Malagos or like Valen or something. You don't like copy like small minions. Sometimes you copy a Radiant Elemental, but that's usually with the 3 mana replicate, the 3 mana copy spell in Priest. Like this is just too expensive, and the stats don't really matter in this with this kind of effect. Next up, Legendary Spell, Zarek's Cloning Gallery. 9 mana, summon a 1/1 copy of each minion in your deck. So if you look at it stat-wise, it's 9 mana, 7/7 at best. So that's awful. But it depends on what you put in your deck. So you could like summon a Lich King, an Obsidian statue, 2 Obsidian statues, Kel'Thuzad in Wild, Ragnaros in Wild, Yashiraj in Wild, but like Big Priest really doesn't have that many good targets anymore because they all rotated out to Wild. So this might see Fringe play in Wild, but even then, it summons 1/1 copies, which are really bad. So I don't think this will see play, honestly. Next up, Zarek Master Cloner. Zarek Master Cloner. 6 mana, 5/5 Death Rattle. If you've cast any spells on this minion, resummon it. So it's not that hard to get buff spells in Priest, but the biggest problem is this is a 5/5, which isn't really that valuable to resummon. But sometimes this card can be better than the neutral one, Cairn Bloodhoof. Yeah, this can be better in terms of stats when you're resummoning stuff. But I don't think this was like this might be see play in like Inner Fire Priest as like just a throwaway minion, because I don't know, you just want to fill your deck, and if you get this as your free legendary, you want to use it. But otherwise, this is not really that good. But I've been wrong about stuff before, so this might see play.